Lucky the Yanks gave up their commentary position. We'd have had to have talked in the corridor.
Well, they're sick of all this Ross propaganda.
Ross is world news. I'm surprised to see you here. I'm surprised they let you in.
Oh, I can get into most places, Herbert.
Most places?
Including your HQ.
Oh, I shouldn't try. No, I feel quite sorry for your plight. Well, who wouldn't be? Our ex-star muckraker on home affairs, down to penny lining on games and pastimes. I suppose it's one step up from tiddlywinks. Are you really so hard up you have to cover chess?
Ross has made another move.
You could make life so much easier for yourself, for your family. Miss Blake, did you know she asked the Home Secretary to lean on your editor to take you back? Not as Home Affairs correspondent, naturally. You're too far gone in your hatred of the PCD for that. But in some less humiliating position than you presently occupy. You know what I think? I think you're taking slush money from the French, the Americans, the Germans, for the libels on your own country you feed anonymously to their UK-bashing papers.
Oh, you see that move of Ross's? Can it his only hope now is prayer?
I think you're here to knock our talented fellow countryman, Phil Ross.
Oh, Phil, is it? You must be very fond of him. Well, of course you are. He's one of your puppets.
It all becomes you to sneer, Kyle. He's one of our new British lions. Never in 100 years have we produced so many champions.
On to the Olympics. Every gold medalist, one of your inspectors of culture.
Culture does include sport.
Oh, no, I don't believe it. Herbert Scarden, our national patron of sport.
Thank you. I take that as a compliment. You know, if that fellow on board 7 doesn't pull his finger out, Ross will have him by the pawns. Exquisite.
Thank you, Patterson.
And mark my words, Ross will have Asher for breakfast next week, and did not many more moves than it took him today.
Yes, yes, Ross is good. Very good.
Every opponent a Grand Master in his own country. Well, you coming down to hear what he has to say about it? After all, I suppose you're only here for the inquest, or the mischief.
You've just beaten 10 of Europe's Grand Masters simultaneously, Mr.
No, not quite
Watson.
simultaneously. Some last a little longer than others.
I know you've some ideas of how your genius came to
Genius, such an elitist word. I'm an ordinary man from Blackburn who was lucky enough to grow up in a society which allows ordinary folk to attain their fullest potential without damage to others.
Well, you damaged about 10 today, Phil.
I do sincerely hope not. So, where's the harm? White lies never spilled red blood.
Your lies could help the PCD spilling. Philip, you are one of Scarden's champions. You're fast becoming one of his minions. You're no better than that man Kay, the marathon fella, whose brains are in his lungs, or that young swimmer whose heart used to belong to Daddy but now belongs to Big Brother. They have taken the Union Jack and they've made it the banner of bureaucracy. You are all strands in the fabric.
We have had all this out before, Jim.
You know, I remember you used to say that all this razzmatazz was just nasty propaganda.
It's not just the status one citizenship, Jim. It's not just the house, the extra rations.
Oh, don't tell me, don't tell me. It's for the children, it's for their sake. Entry into Comprehensive 1.
It matters.
Keep making the right moves, Phil.
What do you expect? Good night, Vienna, to all I've worked for?
All you've played for, Philip. All you've played for. Good night.
And it's good for national morale when you see me win.
Oh, yeah, well, it's good for your morale. You know, you didn't used to be vain. Not when you were a good maths teacher. Not when you were with me in the early protest movement about 5 years ago. Now what happens? I mean, you're happy with a pat on the back from Patron Scarden.
So what do you want, Jim? I'll not be used to turn on my own country.
Not your own country, some of the people who run your country. Listen, you lot standing up and telling the truth makes all the difference to us.
Sorry, Jim.
All right, go on, keep playing the Ross defense. I'd like you to meet a few people tomorrow, all right? Please. More overtime, Edwards. He must be minting it. No bombs again. Mind you, he hasn't looked in my ears. Smells good. What is it?
Something which should have been eaten earlier when you were expected.
Sorry.
I saw you were intensely busy watching chess.
No, not chess. Ross. Our new British lion.
And we did say that tonight...
Yes, I know what we said. No rows, no politics. Is that possible?
Oh, just for once.
Thank you. Well, here's to your bravery and having me here 3 nights out of 4. I don't quite understand such hospitality, Miss Blake.
Oh, it's simple. He's not taking care of himself. He's not eating properly, Mr. Scarden.
Oh, come off it. I'm as fit as a horse, and you know it. Don't you try and kid me that you've invited me out of pity.
You will drift into no gutter while I have any say.
Yes, well, we're not eating here tonight, Lynn. We are going to that new place in Whitehall Gardens, status 1. Going on your card, I'm going to pay, right?
Wrong. Because I have been preparing roast lamb covered with rosemary, asparagus and fresh raspberries.
All by yourself? Sounds like a celebration.
It is.
Well, what are we celebrating? Don't tell me. The withdrawal of my union card. No, the breakup of my family.
Oh, don't be facetious, James, or self-pitying.
Why did you ask Kate Smith to squeeze Jessup for my job back? Is that true? Is it true?
You hear some funny rumors. Let's eat before it spoils.
Because if it is true, you are taking a bit of a risk.
I don't care. Does that mean anything to you? Have you forgotten what the hell love is?
No.
Oh, James. Why are you so complicated? Can't someone feel tender and concerned about you without you finding a dozen Machiavellian reasons for it? Isn't it possible that a senior civil servant with a PCD can be human?
Well, only you can answer that.
Asparagus.
This is really delightful, Herbert.
You did say it was 55 years since you and Father first met at St. Moritz. I thought it might be appropriate.
Dear Herbert.
To you, Mother.
I must say it's years since I had a steak vendu.
Blast.
Oh, Herbert.
Beg pardon, Mamma. I did leave instructions I wasn't to be disturbed.
Should I stop dipping, do you think?
Please do. Yes. Oh, well.
Good evening, Controller.
Yes, Forbes.
The dissident Jackson we picked up this morning with a list of your movements in his pocket, sir.
Yes?
He has defied normal interrogation and is resistant to truth drugs. All we can get out of him is a request to see Kyle. Have we your permission to use heliparidol?
Very well, go ahead. So sorry, Mama.
I put 2 in for you, dear.
Splendid.
Look, Dave, we have an agreement. I joined this group on condition we do things my way.
Well, at least they didn't get that lot on him.
He'd been following Scarden for 2 days. They must have got something on him. I don't think we should hold off any longer.
Hold off.
Since Scarden was shot at, they've begun to reduce the bodyguards on PCD officials again. On all except Scarden.
They reduced them 2 weeks ago, but not since. What do you mean, hold off? I'm not just here as a spectator.
We think the time's right.
For taking hostages?
Well, one to begin with.
What are you on about?
This might be as far as they'll go for a bit in reducing bodyguards. And Scarden still has enough round him to stave off an uprising. So, we're starting with one of the deputy controllers. Lynn Blake.
So that's why Kyle's not here. Isn't it?
He's getting his 2 lives in a twist.
He should have been warned.
Probably too busy in Miss Blake's super pad.
Now listen, if anyone so much as lifts a little finger before Kyle is brought in on this, anyone, you won't know what hit you. And until then, just leave her alone. Understand? Do you understand? Look, Alan, there must be some way we
No
can
more
reach a
argument,
compromise.
Abe, and that's final!
You still haven't told me why the feast.
We're celebrating.
Yes, I know
that's
you
all.
said that. What are we celebrating?
Us. It's an anniversary.
What are you talking about? Why the telegram?
Oh, I just wanted to see what they're saying about our grand champion.
Come on, sit down.
Good
Come on.
News from New York tonight of the United Kingdom's attack in the UN on countries said to be interfering in the internal affairs of others. In London today, Home Secretary Kate Smith announced a doubled budget for the PCD for the coming year. The supertanker on the rocks off Cornwall may be refloated on tonight's high tide. Philip Ross completed an astonishing chess victory by winning all 10 of his games against European masters. He says he will beat Asher in the World Championship next week.
What are we celebrating?
It will be 12 years next Tuesday since you first took me out.
Oh, dear. Am I really as old as all that?
And by next Tuesday, you may have decided never to see me again, such is the state of the nation. So this is premature as well as silly.
Do you mind
Mind?
if I turn the sound up?
I use the English opening in most games, but the French and Sicilian defences also worked. It's a victory for the United Kingdom, and I would like to thank all those thousands of Britons who sent me good wishes for my game against Asher. We will show Asher, and by satellite, Lasky in the USSR, who is on top. I started playing chess quite some time ago.
Special line 73.
Could I speak with Jim Kyle, please?
Who is it speaking, please?
An acquaintance.
Just a moment. It's for you.
You. Yeah.
We have to meet, okay?
Well, when you've got to go.
You're getting good at this.
I'm getting good at what?
Walking out without a word.
Wrong. One word. Thanks.
We're logging this block. Front and rear, everybody in and out.
Oh, thank you for telling me. I dare say I'll lose them pretty quickly if they bother to follow me, which I doubt. I mean, after all, I am not the VIP I once was.
You've left half your brandy.
Could be the night for a clear head. I'm not sure. I might still love you. I'm not sure.
We've lost Andrew. God knows what they're doing to him now, but we're losing no more. I'm not prepared to see any more good blokes sacrificed.
Have you finished?
And we're not open to persuasion.
I am not here to persuade you, Alan. I am here to tell you. You're behaving like a bunch of juvenile delinquents. Should be with some nanny or a probation officer.
Don't bluster, Kyle. And don't try to get in our way.
That's your trouble. You haven't got a way.
All this is your game. Your world. Underground rags and getting people out. But where's it getting us, Kyle? Propaganda that goes in one ear and out the other. And these yellows.
Yellow. Will somebody please translate yellows?
Political reds and blues, racial blacks and whites. Yellows are people who leave the country or bow their knees.
Yes, and you're down on one knee already.
Oh, come on, Alan, give him a chance. He might just be supposed to be a Pentagon meeting, not a football supporters outing.
Okay, I'd just like to say that the plan
Will
is
you shut up? We don't know how much your lady friend means to you, Kyle. You keep telling us she's part of your scheme to get rid of the PCD and this stinking regime. What I know is she's our best bet. Not only a deputy controller, but also being spoon-fed information by you. And therefore worth a lot more than the other uglies at her level.
You rule out Scarden himself because he's too well protected.
Right.
So what kind of yellow does that make you?
We're not trying for VC.
Leave her alone! I am warning you, leave her alone.
You breathe a word about this, Kyle, And you'll be on the list.
Hello, Billy. Heard you were out.
Hello, Mr. Kyle. They would have to discharge me just when the weather's turned cold.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. How is the arthritis?
It's me up the knee as well now. It's too easy for the fuzz when I try to run.
Billy, not Billy Rickaby. I remember you making a right dummy of that Italian left back at Wembley, and when was it?
1983.
His name was Lasari. He nearly took my legs off.
Yes, I remember that. I remember the crowd singing, too. I bet you're still hearing it. You'll never walk alone.
You're a Mr. Kyle. They deafen me some nights. I can't sleep for them.
No. Well, never mind, Billy. Keep yourself warm, eh?
Show me the ex-middleweight champion stoking boilers. You show me the ex-world marathon champ swabbing out a public loo. Now here.
You know why?
It's their own fault.
They were all heroes once. Just like you, Philip. Do you know what they did him for last? Stealing a pair of long johns to keep his legs warm. A pair of socks, keep his feet warm. Those feet were magic feet once.
It won't happen to Scarden's Lions.
No? Start losing, then you'll find out.
I feel no change is required, unless you know some particular threat.
No.
The attempt on my life was a month ago. I'm not sweating.
Scarden's right, Miss Blake. We mustn't be seen to be surrounded by bulging men wherever we go. Personally, I think we're taking the sting out of the dissident movement. Let's not give them hope.
We have just found a man carrying notes of his movements.
Yes, and look, not even a tremble.
All that could prove is insensitivity.
And I've been pressing Scarden to reduce my bodyguard.
But it hasn't been reduced, Home Secretary.
I'm surprised, Miss Blake, that you should be so concerned for your own safety.
Not only mine, other senior officials of the department. It's known that we're all on various revenge lists. I don't care to be kidnapped.
You don't know something we don't?
All I know is what is on our files.
I repeat, I'm the only one they've taken a pot at.
And you now have 5 permanent guards on your home and 2 while travelling, while you have even more, Home Secretary. I have 2 on my home and 1 while travelling.
I doubt whether you're on anyone's list, Miss Blake, being so new to the department.
I see.
And we are more important, Home Secretary.
And she knows more than she's letting on. I should give her extra bodyguards, Herbert.
Think you're right, Home Secretary?
Very discreetly, of course.
Shall be done.
Orange juice, are you sure?
Yes, totally teetotal.
Thank you.
Now, how can I help you, Mr. Kyle? I'd heard you British are the best anti-buggers around.
Yes, spinning jenny, jet engine, hovercraft, anti-bugging devices, all part of our great British tradition, Mr. Asher.
Your friend Maudsley, he tells me you knew him well as Faceless, asked me to see you. He sends his regards, by the way.
Thank you very much. Return them when you see him, please. Now, I have a simple request.
As long as you're not going to ask me to lose to Ross.
Do you know what odds our state betting corporation are laying?
4-1 on Ross, 22-1 against me. He'd better be on his toes.
He's a friend of mine.
Oh, I see.
But I wish you could win.
I might.
Here's what I'd like you to do. I would like you to issue a public challenge to Ross to play you in the States when this game is finished.
But he walked all over Lasky and Moscow.
Will you issue the challenge?
Do you think he'd accept?
No.
Well, then why the hell...
Please issue the challenge.
We have played 4 games in 5 days. He leads me 2.5 to 1.5. We have 16 more games in the next 7 weeks, so I should worry.
In the middle of play today, you challenged Philip Ross to play you in America. Was that another of your psychological ploys? I mean, you also protested about the proximity of a TV camera when Ross was working out his move, and you stormed out.
I didn't storm out. I strolled out.
In protest?
Sure.
Was the New York invitation meant to upset Ross?
Why should that upset him? Unless he's scared of playing away from London.
He beat Lasky in Russia.
So let him come to New York or Geneva or Stockholm or Rome. Hot climate, cold climate, I don't mind.
So you've gone off him. Only we had it in today that you met him at the Claridge State Hotel.
Well, just picking up tips.
For Ross.
Well, he's a friend of mine.
One of Scarden's lions.
He's vain, spoilt, and resentful.
Resentful?
I don't think that Ross is going to hang about for his PCD pension.
What?
Oh, forget it.
What made you say that?
Well, it's just that he's now what is called a yellow. He wants to get away secretly, but really he should stay and fight.
James, I don't understand you anymore. First you tell me that some lunatics are going to take me as a hostage, and now you're
well, I said forget it, forget it.
He owes a lot to this country.
Yeah.
You mean he got Asher to issue the challenge so that he could get out? He has a wife here and 2 children. Both entered for comprehensive 1.
Yes, true. Mind you, he's never been abroad without taking his family. Has he?
What I'm saying is, Phil, it isn't in the nation's interest. It isn't in your interest to play him in the United States.
Why, Mr. Scarden?
Well, it's a matter of your security, isn't it, Lynn? Here we can guarantee it. In the US of A, well... And you're a very important Briton, Phil. At the very least, you might find conditions there upset you.
Me?
Costing your concentration.
I could beat him there or anywhere, from Wigan to Wisconsin.
I doubt if they've caught on to the chess boom in Wigan, Phil. And I can't speak for Wisconsin. All I'm saying
What you're
is...
saying is you don't want me to leave the country.
Not just at the moment.
It'll see I'm afraid of him. I can't duck his challenge.
Yes, you can, Phil. And you will.
So? I can't go abroad.
You will now go on to beat Asher and to parry any questions about your leaving for the US of A. After all, you do have commitments to this department as an inspector of culture. It's not just a sinecure to enable you to devote yourself full-time to chess, is it?
That's what I tell the media.
If they ask.
Oh, they're sure to.
And that's what you tell them. And Phil, all the best. You really are in a strong position. His queen's in a hell of a mess. Real lion. Watch him, Miss Blake. Any man who can work out permutations like he can deserves special attention. Did you know that the number of possibilities in the first 10 moves of any chess game is something like 160,000 million?
No, I didn't.
Well, there you are, then. He really does deserve special attention.
So do I.
If you are referring to your personal security, Miss Blake, you may be glad to know that I've ordered modest extra precautions on your behalf.
Thank you.
Frightened of playing away from London? You still haven't said a word about my invite to New York.
You'll not upset me. You'll not throw me.
I'm asking a question. Will you come to the States?
You see, he's trying it on all the time, Phil. This New York challenge, it's just like his walkout. You know when that kid was rustling toffee paper when you were about to move? Don't you see, he's trying to throw you.
Oh, I know that.
Then throw him. Look, if he comes up with this New York challenge again, agree. Say you'll play him anywhere, at any time. But that the PCD won't give you an exit visa because they're scared you won't come back to Britain.
Scarden would love that.
Then show him what you're made of, Phil.
Let's go.
What's in there?
Blanket.
I'll have to have a look.
Right, now! Don't move!
Freeze. Throw your guns down the lift. Go on. Move it! Get out, you two. Get out! You're driving outside. Go on outside! Anybody follows, and she's dead. You, get in that red car, behind the wheel. Go on, move! Stay there! Stay there!
Scared of New York?
My friend Asher has spent the best part of our match trying to goad me into errors by what everyone acknowledges to be his special tricks of psychological warfare. His latest ploy is to taunt me about his invitation to a match in the United States. He's made much of the fact that I've not replied. I'm replying now. When I have demolished him here, I'll be prepared to do the same in New York or wherever, if the UK will grant me an exit visa. But this is not the land of opportunity I've said it is. It's more like a prison. I'm one of the prisoners. The authorities have refused me an exit visa because they fear I might not come back.
Special Line 73.
I've just heard. You all right?
I'm a little bit singed, but nothing serious.
Well, what time's visiting hours?
Any time you like.
Be there as soon as I can.
We want to know from Kyle himself why, when they were cutting their guards on PCD personnel, they suddenly had a lot more looking after his lady friend.
How the hell should he know?
If he doesn't show, we'll know.
Well, of course he'll show.
I hope he's not too busy. Chess is so important.
Ross certainly is.
I just feel it. Kyle's not coming.
Wrong again. Well, I don't know half of you here. And I wish to God I didn't know the other half. So what are you hatching now? Some other noble plot to get yourselves knocked off? I must say, that was a brilliant deed of daring do you pulled today, wasn't it?
You haven't asked about Abe?
No.
Why not? We don't even know where they're keeping him.
I'll tell you where they're keeping him. The intensive care unit of Hospital 7 West.
Where he's talking his head off.
Oh, I see, Alan. That's why you're sweating, is it? Well, don't worry, lad. Because Abe won't be talking sense for a long time.
Oh, yes. And how come you know all this?
By which time, perhaps, we can get him out of the country. Or am I putting ideas into daft young heads?
Don't patronize us, Uncle. How come she knew it was on today?
She, your fancy lady.
This is not a kangaroo court.
Oh, come on, David, come on. They're Joeys. They are little Joeys in their mother's pouches. They have big heads and puny muscles.
Now give us an explanation.
He is not on trial, Alan. Okay. They're lunatics to be playing commandos. But they are fed up running your underground newspaper around and playing girl guides to illegal immigrants.
How come they were so ready for us?
Perhaps you were careless.
Or you tipped her off.
How the hell could he tip her off when he didn't even know it was on?
David! I do not need an advocate.
Her place was lousy with them. For a month, they progressively run down security. Then at the very
You pulled the most stupid and idiotic snatch I've ever heard of! You bloody silly children, get out! Go on, all of you, get out! Get out! That includes you, Colonel. From now on, I am going to be rather busy. Now go on, get out!
Come along, everybody. I'm telling you, Kyle. I, for one, don't believe you.
You're going to do a piece on this attempted kidnap today?
David, if I don't do it, who else is going to do it? Fleet Street won't touch it, and the television boys will be too scared. So who the hell else is going to do it? My fingers are cold. You turn the heat up, please.
Come on up, Phil. You sure that's quite right, Mama?
Herbert,
How can your night possibly be that?
you wouldn't accuse me of cheating, would you, Herbert?
No, of course not. Must be my memory.
You've been working too hard, dear. We could play dominoes.
It was you who wanted to play this damn game. Your night shouldn't be there. Really, it shouldn't.
You'd never have said that if your father had been still alive.
Come on in, Phil. You know my mother, of course.
We met before you met my son, Mr. Ross.
Indeed, the Edinburgh Grand Masters.
With my husband. He doted on chess. Here, I'll get you a drink.
Please, fruit juice.
So glad you could come, Phil.
I didn't come. I was brought. Virtually under arrest.
Not of your own protection. It isn't pleasant to see you becoming your own worst enemy.
I'm not a PCD poodle. I was also subjected to the indignity of a body search.
Well, only fair, dear chap. They were thinking of my security. I'm a target too, you know. We were into a game when you arrived.
I'm white and in rather a strong position, wouldn't you say?
Yes, indeed, ma'am. After how many moves?
14.
Don't quite see how your night could be where it is, ma'am.
That's just what I was saying.
Oh, dear. I hope I haven't made a mistake.
Would you please leave us for a few moments, Mamma?
Not a game for part-time novices, is it, Mr. Ross?
And now, would you mind explaining that remarkably disloyal outburst on TV?
I hear your sensors cut the transmission not only to Britain, but to the satellite.
You were irresponsible, Phil. Unless it was an aberration due to stress.
It wasn't. You'd have to drag me feet first into one of those treatment centers.
Our staff psychologist might have to recommend that. For your own health and well-being. And we will announce that you conceded to Asher. After all, he has been giving you a bad time with his psychological warfare.
I could beat Asher blindfolded. And wouldn't the world be suspicious?
Two-day wonder. The world has a short memory. Naturally, I would prefer that you came to your senses and promise that there will be no repetition of today's madness.
Very well.
And you better mean it, Phil, for your own family's sake.
I understand.
Once more, and you won't get even 4 words out before the transmission is cut. And after that, your only audience will be psychiatrists. Now, may I wish you all the best against Asher? Mama, my mother would like just one game with you, however short. Would you mind?
Not at all.
I knew he'd agree. Such a modest young man.
I remember you like this a long time ago.
It wasn't me. It was somebody else.
It was you. When you were tender with no wars to fight.
I've always had wars to fight. I think I've been fighting since I was about 2 years old. How about a medicinal Bloody Mary?
Oh.
One Bloody Mary coming up.
You used to make the best Bloody Marys in town.
Didn't I just? Won gold medals for it.
I should get wounded more often.
You were lucky.
Yes.
I mean, you were very, very lucky. Young rebels with down on their cheeks and guns in their hands are a menace to all of us, not just the PCD.
You wish you'd known how to use it, you mean?
No, not in this case.
If the victim had been someone else?
No, you don't seem to have any Worcester sauce. Where's your Worcester sauce?
James?
You've hidden it?
If it had been some other PCD
No,
official?
it's probably out there in the kitchen.
James, he was using blanks.
What?
He was using blanks.
Well, he's dafter than I thought.
Ah, so you know him?
No.
Are you sure?
I said no.
It was the way you said it.
The way I'm saying anything at the moment is probably coloured by the fact that you've been rather badly burned. And the next time, it won't be young rabbits. It'll be gorillas, and some of them will be spelt with an O.
I still think you know who they are.
Stop fishing. I've got a few questions I want to ask, but I'm not asking them now, right?
You're in a temper. You're in one because you're in a twist. And you're in a twist because you want to get angry with me, but you think you shouldn't because I've got some piffling little burn on my arm.
Excuse me. You have a burn on your arm because you chose not to change your routine. Instead, you chose to stick to your routine with a posse of PCD heavies lurking around.
Yes.
That is not what we arranged.
I don't intend to be treated like some silly little woman.
Lynn, you said you would take my advice.
I did.
You did not take my advice. You did not take my advice. You put a trap out, didn't you? A trap.
I didn't. Scarden did.
Oh, I see. So you told him what I told you, did you?
Yes, and then it was you who told me. What sort of a harlot do you take me for?
You told him that there might be a possible attack against you?
I told him I felt insecure.
I see. And he accepted that. No further questions.
Believe it or not.
I don't believe it.
Then believe what you like. And close the door quietly when you go.
You better get another dressing on that.
Do it tomorrow.
Don't you think you ought to rest?
When you've gone.
Now, why don't you go to bed? Rest in bed.
I am resting.
In bed, girl, in bed. Rest lying there.
I don't feel tired.
You are. You're tired. The lights, I'll do, all right? Come on.
You'll tell whoever you're calling about my chess game, won't you?
Yes, Mama.
I think we should have one of these photographs enlarged, don't you? I suppose he must have let me win, don't you think?
I didn't see every move, Mama. I was on the telephone.
I know he lost his queen on purpose.
Unless you cheated. Where the devil are my pills?
Hello.
Good morning, Miss Blake. You all right?
Much better, thank you, Mr. Scarden.
Only as you hadn't come in this morning.
Well, just delayed shock.
Not too shocked, I hope, to watch the match. No. I was a little concerned. Surveillance shows that Kyle might have been pestering you last night.
Kyle's no problem, Mr. Scarden. Thank you for calling me. I'll be in tomorrow. You evil man.
Who, him?
No, you.
A quite remarkable morning's play so far. Philip Ross admitted first thing this morning that his outburst yesterday was the result of stress and should be forgotten. He claimed he was a victim of Asher's psychological warfare, and play today has confirmed it. He's lost the last 3 games, being forced to resign the last in 20 moves. He has already made mistakes in the opening moves of the game now in play.
Someone's had a word with our friend.